Hello everyone and welcome back to Football Manager 2021 and the final part of this experiment where we're taking a look at what would happen if you had a 20-year transfer embargo across European football. So the top 5 big leagues plus every team above 7,000 reputation have been put under a 20-year transfer embargo, and as you can see in the Premier League there was quite a bit of change, not as much as you'd like. Watford and Norwich, the real winners from this experiment. I mean, interesting that it was one dynasty after another with not a lot of competition between them. Watford was second for so long before becoming the best team, and they've managed to hang on to that ever since. Norwich dropping down to 4th, just 2 points off the title to be fair. But the big surprise was actually down in League 2, I think it was, where... Was it League 2 or was it the Championship? Let's have a look. It was Man City who absolutely dropped through. So they went down now into League 1 because they just finished 23rd in the Championship. The other big shock was Newcastle United, who are now ranked lower than the Newcastle Jets. But Newcastle United going all the way down to the Vanarama National League North. Just a horrific time of it that began just 4 years after the start of the embargo, and they very quickly ended up going down. They got back in the Vanarama National League for a little while, but they've come back down and have been on a downward trend, finishing as low as 18th before going back up to 13th and then 12th recently. But it's been a pretty terrible time. They are rich in finances though. I mean, if we look at the club details, they've got an enormous pot for a team in their position, £90 million to spend. They've got the St James's Park, training facilities, everything else. They will definitely come back now the embargo is over. And in Europe, it was the English teams dominating as well. So do go back and look at the previous episodes if you haven't already. What we're going to do today is go about 10, maybe 15 years into the future now that the embargo is over. We'll see if the likes of Watford and Norwich can continue to dominate, or if the traditional teams come back. We'll also see if City and Newcastle can climb out the depths of English football back to the Premier League. But that's all to come. Let's jump forward now and see where they are in 10 or 15 years' time. So we have now gone forward, and after Watford won that first league, or won that last league title, they continue to win the next one. Manchester United jumping straight back up to 3rd. Liverpool and Arsenal already pushing towards Europe. The year after that, we finally get a new Premier League title winner. It's Bournemouth, though, that take it. The big teams still not quite cracking the top 4 properly. Watford finally losing their dominance at the top. Now, Chelsea deducted 5 points for budget rule violation. Not brilliant for them. West Ham getting relegated, but Bournemouth taking another title ahead of Nottingham Forest and Norwich. Watford dropping all the way down to 7th, and Chelsea successfully finishing in mid-table. The points deduction not doing an awful lot to them. Arsenal get the next budget violation, finishing in 11th place as Bournemouth take another title. Chelsea managing to get up to 3rd now. Watford do come back to win another title ahead of Bournemouth. Bristol and Derby up there as well. The big teams not successfully coming back. Still no sign of Man City either, as Bristol City take the title in 46. Norwich take the next one. The big teams very much in mid-table. Chelsea very nearly winning a title, 2 points off Bournemouth at the top. And then the following year, Bournemouth beating Liverpool and United, who are both back in the title race now. A huge kind of leap forward there for them to get back in the European places. But Bristol take the next one as Liverpool drop down to 11th after a top 4 finish. They're all over the shop. Bournemouth take the next one. Bournemouth again and again. And you can see Arsenal back in the top 4. And then finally we see a change. Chelsea and Arsenal back at the top. Chelsea winning their first league title for a very long time. And unfortunately the other team's not able to beat them to it. Bournemouth winning the next title on 73 points, but the top 5 separated by 2 points at the end of the season. 73, such a low total. They won the title with 11 defeats. I can guarantee that's never happened before. That is shocking that that's happened. Chelsea really unlucky, and they only lost 9. But the title winners losing 2 more matches in 6th place, the same number as 7th place. That is a very strange league season. And most recently, Chelsea taking another title. Still no Spurs, still no Man City in the top flight. But it's been a little bit more varied than it had been when we ended the embargo here. We've had quite a few winners come back since the money has changed things up. And if we do have a look at the transfers, you can see the amount of money being spent. Bristol City spent 120 million. Lots of clubs breaching that 100 million barrier. I mean, this season is crazy. 4 transfers for over 100 million occurring across the Premier League. Some of them going out, but some of them coming in. And the 100 million barrier being broken on a fairly consistent basis. I mean, look at that. 176 million spent by Nottingham Forest to sign someone from Norwich. 120 million to Bournemouth before that, and then we get back into embargo territory. Now, if we drop down to the Championship and have a look at the league table here, you'll see Spurs finishing 6th. Newcastle have managed to bounce all the way back up, but they've just got relegated, unfortunately. No sign of Man City in there. In League 1, Manchester City have just got promoted, but that's amazing. So Manchester City relegated down into League 1 and was stuck there for a really long time, despite being rich in finance. I mean, look at the amount of money they've got in there. That's over £1 billion in cash, and yet they're still down in League 1. What is going on? I mean, the amount of money being spent, that's mostly players going out, though. That was the end of the embargo when they got relegated. They're just not able to spend money. Very little being spent year after year. I can only imagine that's because they're basically failing financial fair play. But if we have a look at their landmarks, we'll get a better idea of this. I can't see them getting slapped with much by financial fair play here. They've had new people come in and take over, but they've always retained that enormous amount of cash in the club, and it looks like they weren't ever really hit with financial fair play. So it must just be they're adhering to the rules, they're just not seeing any benefit from it. Now the other team we can check on is Newcastle here. What an absolute V-shaped recovery this is after getting relegated down into the Vanarama National League North. They did take a little while, so that was where the embargo ended. They finished 2nd, then 1st, got up, started to climb up, 3rd, got up 3rd, did get knocked down from League 1 before getting promoted again, and then last season they got promoted back into the Championship by winning the title. I'm sure they've got a fairly interesting transfer history, because you can see here in the embargo when they had to sell players for getting relegated so often, and they have been spending money to come back up, but not a huge amount of money being spent in these last few seasons. If we just have a look here, they've done this in a really sustainable way. 8 million spent quite a lot, but before that 2.6 million, 3 million, 300k spent. It's just a big club kind of coming back naturally. They aren't doing it with a huge amount of money, they're just coming back at the Bobby Robson Arena, 40,000 capacity. I like that. But Newcastle now back down in League 1 as a result of being relegated. So interesting what's happened there in the Premier League. If we look at the Bundesliga up next at the end of the embargo, the league table here, you had Hannover 96 winning it. Bayern Munich had been in and around the place quite a while. Hannover 96 very much the dominant team, and they did continue to win title after title, still taking pretty much every title. Borussia Dortmund not far behind them. Fortuna Düsseldorf trying to come back, and finally Borussia Dortmund do win a title. It's nice that they're the ones that came back, not Bayern Munich. But Hannover 96 come back, and then they swap the title a few times. Bayern Munich in the race now, but Borussia Dortmund setting up an absolute dominant run there, 3 in a row, and Bayern Munich still haven't won a title. So they were winning them 12 out of 13 after the embargo came in, but then Hannover 96 became the new Bayern Munich with 14 or 15 consecutive titles there. They then had a tussle with Borussia Dortmund, and now Borussia Dortmund coming out on top in the Bundesliga. In La Liga, this was the most disappointing of all of them. I'm not really going to bother because, I mean, look, Espanyol towards the end came in, but it was Barcelona and Atletico Madrid still winning titles. Barcelona winning them in 2033. Espanyol taking a few, but look, Barcelona and Atletico Madrid still finishing second, and the very next season Atletico Madrid win, then Barcelona do, then Espanyol do, and then Barcelona get 12 out of 13, maybe even more than that actually. 13 out of 14 is that titles. They absolutely rinse it. Real Madrid just become a kind of top 4 team and have been for a really long time. coming back up, nearly winning the title, finishing second, but they've been sort of down in third ever since. So really disappointing. Barcelona have just absolutely turned the taps on and won title after title. In Italy, we had seen a little bit of a shake-up, but really Atalanta were the dominant team, and it looks like that's continued. I mean, they were dominant despite being under embargo, and then the embargo lifts and they just win title after title. Inter managing to get 2 of them, but it's Inter and Atalanta running the show, really. You can see Juventus in there. Brescia are still in and around, but they're basically a top 4 team now. It's just been Atalanta and Inter. That's all it's been. Juventus have had a little bit of a journey. They did get relegated a couple of times, but always came back. And then they had a steady climb back up towards the top. And I would imagine they would eventually win one of those titles going forward. In France, Lyon had been super dominant, and that looks like it has very much become the case. Well, Lyon hadn't actually been that dominant. PSG had done well. So after the embargo, PSG win quite a few titles. Toulouse had been the dominant team, but then Lyon had finished second to PSG every season, suddenly just absolutely take over. And PSG really falling down in a quite unexpected way. Competition did not compete. What does that mean? Competition did not compete. Okay, we're going to have a look at the league table here. Try and figure out exactly what has happened in the French league, because that doesn't really make sense. So PSG went on this nice long winning run. I mean, they are competing. I don't know why it says competition did not compete when they're clearly competing and they're in there. I mean, that season they finished down in 9th. So I don't know if it says something in PSG's landmarks, maybe. Stadium capacity increased. They're winning titles. Yeah, I don't really know what that means or why that was appearing there. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Lyon, the absolute dominant team, controlling French football, one of the best in the world. I would imagine we will see them in those Champions League places as well. But otherwise, just a very quick look at the past winners of the other big leagues. So the Eredivisie still there. AZ Alkmaar and Ajax cleaning up, mainly AZ Alkmaar in Portugal. There's not been a lot of change at any point, despite these teams being under embargo. It's been Sporting recently winning everything. Red Bull Salzburg had done well, reaching the last stages of some European competitions, but looks like they've had a competitive time of it. And in the Scottish Premiership, Rangers and Celtic, as ever. I mean, look how long that goes back now. Aberdeen, the last team to win a Scottish title. They did come close a couple of times, but Rangers and Celtic weren't under embargo. So it's going to be interesting to see if they have managed to get anywhere near these European competitions. Now, if we start with the Europa League here, we'll just start off with the past winners. So the embargo ends and Manchester United win the very first Europa League. Hannover 96 for some reason in the Europa League. But then the English teams doing well. Espanyol, Bayern Munich do manage to win one against Arsenal. Chelsea do manage to win one as well. And then towards the end here, Atletico Madrid and Chelsea both taking Europa League titles. In the Champions League, if we have a look at the stages here, going back to where we left off, maybe start off with the quarterfinals. And somebody said that I should show the tree format. You can see it here. You do have Paderborn there making the quarterfinals, but it's Borussia Dortmund who win it over Bournemouth. The following year, Châteauroux are in there. Title taken by Watford over Atalanta, so the English dominance continuing here. Porto are in there this time, which is good to see. Hannover 96 beating Bristol City in the final, so no Champions League title for Bristol City at this point. Lyon seem very disappointing as Hannover 96 take another title. Barcelona finally come back and win a Champions League over Bristol City. And then the following year they retain it against Norwich. Brescia not far away from a Champions League title. Barcelona winning it again. Hannover 96 get that one. Paderborn not far away. Hannover 96 once more beating Espanyol. Borussia Dortmund. Barcelona over Atletico Madrid. You can see some of those bigger teams coming back now as Barcelona take title after title. Fortuna Düsseldorf winning the Champions League title there against Borussia Dortmund, but Barcelona once more absolutely come back to dominate the Champions League. It's a shame Lyon never winning one of those titles, but we did see Fortuna Dusseldorf do it. A little bit of a shake-up there, but generally this has been a quite disappointing experiment in terms of, you know, the who's been winning the big competitions around Europe. And you can see here the big teams back in business. There is a little bit of a shake-up. Norwich, Bristol City, Watford, Bournemouth, all up there as well. Paderborn, Fortuna Dusseldorf, Hannover 96 as well. There's a few new teams in that elite group. But seeing Barcelona win this many Champions League titles so quickly after the embargo ended is a little bit disappointing. They've absolutely bounced back and are without doubt the biggest team in Europe once again. So that is probably going to be it for this experiment. I don't think there's too much else to really show you now that we know that world's gone back to normal. If you did enjoy this experiment though, do please drop a like down below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. But until next time, see ya.